Hey guys, how are you? Let's talk about like a really important topic, mobile app business models. And you might wonder, like, how is this different from like regular business models? Well, it is and it isn't, but there are like really some important distinctions. But before I get into them, and they're really important, right? But before I get into them, let's first, okay, what's a business model, right? There's like a ton of ways to define this, from the very complex to the incorrect. But for our purposes, let's just define the business model as it's really like a 10,000 foot view of the entire business, right? So it's how all the components of your business function together. And for apps, there are a lot of the traditional business components aren't there. There's no logistics, there's no inventory, there's no like manufacturing, right? So it's really just three. Product creation, I guess it's sort of manufacturing. So product creation, marketing, and then the finances, right? How are you going to monetize all this in a way that makes sense for all the operations to be profitable? Okay? So creating the product, promoting the product, and then generating enough revenue so that the whole thing is profitable. Got it? Okay. Now, and this is really true for almost any business. All these things are present for almost any business, right? Now, what is curious about apps and how apps are different is that, first of all, most apps never make money, right? So a lot of the times a business model is to eventually sell. That's really the only business model. The apps, a lot of them don't make money, right? The ones that do make money at a very poor rate, at a very like not so good rate. Like they make money with ads, which, as you know, if you've seen my videos, is like the worst way to monetize is ads. Then, you know, if there are in-app purchases, it's also not so good because people in the app world, they just don't want to pay, right? Consumers in the app world, they just don't want to pay. These aren't like life. Most apps, almost all apps, are not like life and death apps, right? They're not that important, and people don't want to spend money on the stuff. It's like it's okay for entertainment. It's okay to waste time sometimes. It's maybe some useful utility, but people don't want to pay. So ads aren't effective. Charging isn't effective. So the monetization is tricky, right? And of course, getting downloads is more and more difficult because, like the app search environment is incredibly competitive, and there's more and more apps every day, and there's not any more ways to discover the apps, right? So the app stores, they're more competitive every day. And there are some strong incumbents, usually like million or billion-dollar companies, which take up like some of the most lucrative niches, and the rest of the developers are like struggling behind them. So that's challenging. And so you got this dynamic going on where growth is becoming more difficult. It's still very possible, but it's more difficult. And in apps, the expectation of growth is really astronomical. So that's hard. And then it's hard to monetize, right? And so a lot of the times, the way to succeed is to go really big, right? Is the only way, because if you have like a medium successful app, it doesn't monetize that well, and it doesn't have an exit strategy because it's only a medium-sized thing. So you're really constrained about what's going to be possible for this business. So when you are like when you're planning the app and when you're thinking about it, think about where your app's strength will be, right? Will it be something that will potentially get spread virally? And by the way, all app entrepreneurs, especially first-time entrepreneurs, they hope that their app will spread virally, but you really should be more scientific about it than that, because there are ways to calculate it, and there's certain usability patterns that enable this, right? So if your app isn't like a particularly shareable app, then maybe that's not going to be the case as much, right? But think about the successful apps like Instagram or the WhatsApp app. Like they have like very viral components to them, and people share them a lot. And a lot of the game apps the same. Like you invite friends. So really, I would urge you to think very much about, how to leverage the uniqueness of your app to generate downloads, right? And I have a separate video on like all the ways to generate downloads, but still, they're all hard now because they're generally kind of known, especially by the savvy, smart apps, right? and so you're basically competing, doing the same thing, but you're competing against really established app companies, right? And then the same thing is about monetization. You have to figure out something that people will really end up paying for. And what really makes it hard is during the planning stages, you really don't know if it's going to work out. You can assume and kind of try to calculate it and stuff like that, but you really don't know until it happens. But it's too late to find out at that point, because you've already invested months of time, a lot of money probably, right? So this is really a challenging thing, because you really have to have a deep understanding, but at the same time there's no certainty, right? So it's a little there's a little bit of an art here. So I kind of just wanted to make this video really underlining all the important parts of your app, and just so you guys make sure that you prepare yourself and your app and plan for your app to get around the challenges, and to take advantage of what's unique about the app to grow and make money, because without these components there's no business, right? The app will struggle. So I don't want your app to struggle. I want your app to succeed. So really come up with a really good strategy for this stuff, before you create the app, because once you create the app, you've already kind of gone through you've taken on a lot of the risk, and you want to take more, you want to take on better risk, and have less uncertainty. So if you found this video helpful, please check out my full book on how to create a mobile app business. It's a really good book. I cover really how to make it a business, how to plan a mobile app, how to get it developed. I don't explain how to code the app, but I talk about should you hire a developer, should you do it on your own, is it easy to build on your own, is it easy to learn to code, and then I really get into how to make money from apps, how to promote apps, so you really get the full spectrum. And especially you should especially get this if you are just starting out on apps, or you're thinking about getting into apps, because this will really open your eyes to what the app world is really like without actually having to get into it, right? So you actually know what you're getting into before you're getting into it, which is a very good thing. So anyway, please check out the book, and I'll have the link to it in the description of the video or on my site problemio.com.